Within this Florida neighborhood, every operational decision is governed by specific state statutes that carry immediate financial consequences for the association. The association governing this community possesses no inherent police or state power of its own. Authority for actions like towing vehicles, managing pool facilities, and foreclosing on homes exists solely through strict statutory privileges. This schematic highlights three high-liability operational vectors: vehicular towing, public health pool safety, and judicial foreclosure. Executing these actions outside precise legal thresholds invalidates the association's authority. When this happens, legal protection vanishes, exposing the association to civil cross-suits and state fines. We are going to deconstruct actual forensic case studies of management failures to reveal the hidden statutory math that governs these communities. Florida Statutes Chapter 718, Chapter 720, and Florida Administrative Code 64E-9 function as binary logic gates that determine civil liability. Consider our first case study. A manager spots a visitor's car parked in a fire lane and orders a tow, relying on community entrance signs that have been up for 12 hours and feature 3-inch warning text. This decision exposes the association to a lawsuit for all recovery fees and vehicle damages. The action fails to meet the requirements of Florida Statute 715.07, the state's predatory towing prevention framework. The first geometry rule of that statute requires explicit warning signage at every vehicular entry point to the property, completely unobstructed. The statute also dictates height. The sign must be permanently mounted between 3 feet and 6 feet above the ground surface. The manager's first error involves the text height. The words "tow away zone" must be printed in letters at least 4 inches high. The second error is a violation of time. The law requires a 24-hour continuous deployment rule before any vehicle can be legally hooked. These signs had only been up for 12 hours. Chapter 720 homeowners associations face an additional structural limitation regarding the location of the tow. The driveway shield provision prohibits an HOA from towing a vehicle parked entirely within a private driveway or assigned yard space. HOA towing authority is restricted to vehicles blocking shared common roads, emergency access lanes, or fire hydrants. Failing these physical geometry and timing requirements by a single inch or a single hour converts a manager into a tortfeasor. In our second scenario, a manager logs a community pool pH of 8.1 and a free chlorine level of 0.5 parts per million. The manager leaves the pool open while awaiting a chemical vendor. Chemical imbalances in shared water can rapidly lead to documented threats to public health, requiring strict oversight by the Florida Department of Health. The failing chemical metrics in this scenario required an immediate, mandatory closure of the facility. This telemetry dashboard represents the core chemistry matrix all managers must maintain to prevent health department shutdowns. For pH, the water balance must remain between 7.2 and 7.8. This pool hit 8.1, creating an immediate infraction. Free chlorine in swimming pools must sit between 1.0 and 10.0 parts per million. The case study reads just 0.5. Spas and hot tubs require a higher minimum chlorine concentration, ranging from 2.0 to 10.0 parts per million. The visual clarity mandate requires that the main drain grate, or a 2-inch black disc at the deepest point, is completely visible from the deck. Pools without a paid on-duty lifeguard must also maintain specific deck-level safety equipment. A "No Lifeguard on Duty" warning sign is required, utilizing letters at least 4 inches high. This diagram shows the required life ring, which must have a throwing rope long enough to span the entire width of the pool. The deck must also feature a non-conductive safety hook, or shepherd's crook, mounted to a telescoping pole at least 16 feet long. Managing a community pool involves active public health oversight, where a decimal point error requires an immediate facility lockdown. In our final case study, an HOA board votes to propose on a home because the owner's total account balance is $1,750. This balance consists of $400 in missed assessments, $1,000 of fine, $100 in interest, and $250 in lawyer fees. Instructing an attorney to file this foreclosure lawsuit is illegal, as it fails to meet the statutory financial threshold. Judicial foreclosure is the escalation of a recorded claim of lien, but the state imposes specific limits to prevent abuse. This ledger shows the Chapter 720 HOA $1,000 principal barrier, designed to prevent home loss over minor balances or administrative fines. Fines, administrative fees, and legal interest are stripped away when calculating the statutory foreclosure threshold. The actual past due principal assessment is only $400, which remains below the $1,000 threshold, making the foreclosure illegal. Chapter 718 condominium associations operate under a different financial architecture. Condominiums have no absolute dollar floor. Any past due principal can trigger a foreclosure action. Strict temporal barriers ensure due process for condominium owners. The association must first exhaust a 45-day notice of intent to lien clock. Filing can only occur after a second 45-day notice of intent to foreclose clock has completely run out. HOA authority strictly relies on minimum principal math calculations, while condominium authority is completely reliant on exhausting mandatory statutory countdown clocks before taking action. Operational authority is maintained only when these statutory requirements perfectly align. The state authority delegated to community associations is a specific conditional privilege. This includes the exact height of a letter on a tow warning sign. It includes the exact decimal points on a pool chemistry reader. And it includes the exclusion of fines when calculating a principal balance. Florida statutes and administrative codes function as absolute binary laws. Treating these thresholds as ironclad operational protocols is the only way a manager can shield their community from civil liability.